projects that our hacking crew created here at FreeGeek Chicago. The project which is Crime and Punishment. So today we're going to have a little bit of a presentation on our hacking crew, a little bit of an overview of what the purpose and goals of this project are, along with a little bit of background on the technology that we've used to create the website. And then just a discussion about some of the stuff that you see today, and hopefully you'll have some good input for our partners in the project. That would be the Smart Chicago Collaborative and the Chicago Justice Project. So welcome again to FreeGeek Chicago, and if you have any questions, you can talk to me after the presentation. I'd be happy to answer it for you. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. David Eads here, and he'll tell you a little bit about FreeGeek Chicago's hacking crew that we started about two and a half years ago, and what we've been able to accomplish there.
Hi, everybody. I'm leaving Chicago in like 4 hours. And I'm really perfect. And I'm really tired. So if I'm really, and I'm also happily not working for media organizations. So I can say whatever I want, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So welcome to FreeGeek Chicago. FreeGeek was founded in 2005. Volunteers come in, they donate their time, they take apart computers. Ethically recycle the parts, test them, put them back together, and at the end of the 24-hour program, they get credit towards any equipment that they want to buy. The credit is set up to be such that you can get a free computer at the end of your 24-hour program, and or a greatly reduced laptop. So we've been around 9 years. We've grown really exponentially since we started, and I'm just really proud to have been part of this. So a couple of years ago, we started a thing called the Supreme Chi-Town Coding Crew. It was really kind of the result of many failed experiments to get community-based tech education going here at FreeGeek, and it finally caught on. And I think one of the main reasons why it finally caught on is because we started really focusing on data journalism. And using, oh, there we go. And using our skills to really investigate the world around us. Creating scrapers, doing online storytelling, and so this project has really developed in some really interesting ways. Our first kind of really big hit, and still to this day, our probably our most notable project was Scraper of the Cook County Jail. So we're collecting data about inmates in Cook County Jail that nobody else has, and so that's pretty exciting. And the other projects that we've done include this one, Crime and Punishment Chicago, which was done in collaboration with the Smart Chicago Collaborative, which graciously funded the project. It was our first time. We'll talk just a moment about some of the challenges there, but that was really exciting. So I guess just to step back just for 1 second, crime stats, we're doing it wrong. There's a lot of good stuff in the media about daily crime coverage. There's a lot of kind of really sophisticated sort of storytelling, either on radio, video, documentary form. But when it comes to crime stats, we're still pretty shallow. There's still a lot of stuff that's lacking in that world. And so, what's lacking? One thing would be kind of a systemic view of the data. Understanding what's happening end to end in the criminal justice system. Another thing is the lack of statistics that take into account context. So like in sports, there's been a huge revolution in terms of how we understand sports statistics that take into account certain contextual variables. Who is on the field? How does this player compare to an average player? Do we take into account their salary? Things like that. All of that's lacking when we talk about crime stats, right? The New York Times themselves said Austin, Chicago's deadliest neighborhood. But Austin is also Chicago's most populous neighborhood, and if you look per capita, Austin is like the 10th deadliest neighborhood in Chicago. Still tragic, still really an important thing to talk about. But until we're actually really like bringing in this context and using that in our numbers, I think the analysis is going to be a lot shallower than it could be. And so the Smart Chicago folks came up with this really quite brilliant idea that our crew then worked on to describe the criminal justice system in our region, and to talk about what data is available at every step of the way. And I think that this is just kind of I thought it was brilliant. I think it's really kind of a very, very smart, if it's fair to say, a kind of form of advocacy journalism. And I'll give you 2 anecdotes about it that just have happened in the last couple weeks. So 2 weeks ago, a researcher, I used to work at the Chicago Tribune, a researcher emailed me and said, that your homicide data is really interesting, but what about apprehension and adjudication? So how many people are actually getting caught of all the murders that there are in Chicago, and then how many people are getting convicted? And it turns out that those statistics are really hard to get. It's more complicated than you'd think, and in fact, both the prosecutor and the court system, their data is exempt from Freedom of Information Act requests. And so I actually referred to this website, and I explained this situation, and at the end I said, it's actually kind of hard to get this information. It's hard to get a reliable number about this. And people actually at the Tribune, this went out to the whole editorial group, people at the Tribune were really shocked by this. They're like, what, you mean that some of these numbers aren't super reliable, or we don't know? And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. And so this site in this very kind of plain and straightforward and factual way shows you that. And similarly, I was called just a couple days ago by the Marshall Project, a big new journalism project that's specifically looking at crime in America, and they were just blown away specifically by this site, precisely because they were like, this is something that we need to show our reporters. This is the sort of thing that we'd like to do on a national level, talking about national issues, and so that was really gratifying. I really don't have much more to say. Thank you so much. The technology behind this was a thing called Tarbell. We developed it at the Chicago Tribune, but Brian will talk a little bit more about that later. So thank you so much for being here, and I believe Chris is next, right?
Nope.